Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be seeing how Starfield performs on the Radeon RX 6400, AMD's cheapest GPU offering right now. And of course, when I say the cheapest GPU, I'm talking about the cheapest new GPU. If you're looking for a lower cost, good performing graphics card, I would definitely pick one up secondhand on eBay or a place like that. But I really wanted to see how this little card would handle it, because to tell you the truth, this is actually one of my favorite low profile cards right now. Coming in with only 4 gigabytes of GDDR6 and a price of around $120 to $130 depending on where you pick it up, you can actually put together a pretty cheap, decent performing PC for 1080p gaming with this card. But can it handle Starfield? Now there's a few different things we're going to do here. We're actually just going to start up Starfield Vanilla, and then we're going to introduce a few performance mods made by the community, like a custom community-made low settings mod, and we're even going to test this out in potato mode. And with that, basically what we do is replace all of the textures in Starfield with 16-bit textures. Some of this stuff doesn't look great, but it could increase performance on lower-end machines. And if you're familiar with the RX 6400, you know it is a pretty low-end GPU. But with all that out of the way, let's get into Starfield. And remember, we're starting this out with the stock presets now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to try here is 1080p high preset. I haven't changed anything else here. We're going to see what happens. So let me get back into game here. And yeah, we're here on Jemison. It's not looking great, but as you know, with these cities in Starfield, it really does take a toll on that GPU. Now, usually when I get in some bad performance in the city with a certain setting on a certain GPU, I could go to, let's say, an open world area, different planet, and get, much better performance. And that's if I'm around 30, 35 FPS with a lower end GPU. But seeing that we're getting an average of around 10 FPS here at high settings with the 6400, I don't think that's really going to help out. Now, there's a chance it'll jump up to around 20 in those easier to render or easier to run spots, but high settings with the 6400 is pretty much out of the question, at least at 1080p. So now we're going to take this down to medium. We've still got FSR. Our render resolution scale is at 50%. This may help out a little bit, but I still don't think we're going to be able to run it very well. Better than I thought it was going to run, actually. So obviously, still not at 60 FPS, and I'm not sure if we're going to get there with the 6400, but we could lock this down at 30 and have a pretty decent time with it. Like I mentioned, I mean, this area here is one of the hardest ones to run. I mean, any city really, and we are over that 30 mark right now. But we can get a bit more out of it by taking those settings down. So we're going to try low settings, and remember, we are at 1080p here. We can also drop that resolution down. So taking everything down to low, we're still using dynamic resolution, so we will need to turn that off if we want to drop to 720. But at 1080, all low settings, using FSR with a 50% resolution scale, we are right there at an average of around 41 FPS. And of course, that dynamic resolution is dropping us way down below 1080, but overall, I actually thought this was going to perform a lot worse. Now, the CPU we have here is more than enough. I was just kind of worried about the GPU. And again, I want to mention it for those who haven't played this game. Inside of cities, performance will drop dramatically on any system. So we're actually going to head over to an open planet and see what we can do there at 1080 low settings. On a planet like this, we don't have a bunch of NPCs in one little area, buildings, water, and everything to render. And on most lower end systems that I've tested, with these open planets, we do get much better performance. We're actually getting an average of around 52 here. And with the RX 6400, indoors, small confined spaces, which there are quite a bit here in Starfield, especially in your ship, it will run at 60 FPS. I was getting an average of around 67 indoors, but that's not where you are all the time. Performance is really all over the place with this game, depending on your location. But so far, with that RX 6400, we're just not going to be able to lock this thing down at 60, low settings, 1080p, or even 720. So the next step would be turn to some community optimization mods. And I use Nexus mods. This is one that I've been messing around with recently. It's created by Aeroc, the Starfield Performance Optimizations. We've got the Starfield Optimizations Ultra Optimized version 1.1, low preset potato mode, extreme high presets. So this creator's kind of gone across the board here. And for this, we're going to go with the low preset potato mode mod. We can manually download it here, but this doesn't replace any of the Starfield textures. With that, we'll need a texture pack. This is the Starfield Potato Mode mod by Bulwark HD. And we've got the INI file, the Potato Mode BA2 file, which is going to contain all of our textures. There's a 256-bit version. There's also a 16-bit version. This is the one that we're going to go with. So we're going all the way down to 16-bit here. And I'm going to download these. I've installed the mods manually. All the information you need to know is over on the mod page. But one thing that I highly recommend is resetting your shader cache, especially when we're doing something with new textures. From the AMD control panel, you can head to Graphics, and right here at the bottom, Reset Shader Cache. Now, we'll have to recompile that shader cache when we start up Starfield, but it doesn't take too long with a decent CPU. And real quick, a surefire way to make sure that you did clear that shader cache is once you start the game back up, you'll get the building shaders up at the top. And now we're in potato mode. As you can see, not much texture going on here. Just taking a look at the ground. That billboard cannot be read. And if we take a look at some of these people, they definitely look odd. Even their eyes are missing, most of them. Let me find somebody in the light here. Go ahead and look at some of these guys. Very, very scary. But if you take a look at the FPS up in the top left-hand corner, that really doesn't help us out that much. Now, it could definitely help out on lower-end cards. And I know we're already working with the bare minimum here, the RX 6400. But textures aren't everything with this game, and we're still at 1080p low with dynamic resolution scale on. And even when I'm set up like this, if I went to 720p, it's not going to change much because that dynamic resolution is really taking us down as low as we can go here. This definitely does not look good. I was hoping it would increase us up into the mid-50s, but unfortunately, no. There was some text here. As you can see, those boxes, you cannot read it now. Let's move over to Open Planet and see how that looks. So yeah, you know, in these open areas, we did gain just a bit, few FPS here and there. But this is something that I would not want to play in potato mode. I was really hoping we'd get some increased performance here, but it doesn't look like it's helping out much. And I am using that low preset, that custom community-made low preset, which is probably the only thing that's given us a little more FPS here, which isn't much at all. And the final thing I wanted to take a look at here on the RX 6400 was 720p. We're using that custom-made low preset. Still have those 16-bit textures pre-installed, but I'm not using dynamic resolution scale. So this is at a true 720p, and we still can't hit 60 FPS with this game, at least in the cities. So can AMD's cheapest GPU offering run Starfield? I mean, technically, yeah, it can, but would I recommend running out and buying a 6400 specifically for this game? No, I would not. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. Really appreciate you watching. I've been trying to get this game up and running on a GTX 750, but unfortunately I just can't get the game launching. If you've got any ideas or if there's any other cards or hardware you want to see Starfield running on, just let me know down below. And like always, thanks for watching.